Hello, YouTube. So, I wrapped up the new Canto, and I wanted to give my opinions on how I felt about the whole Canto, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. So before anything else, spoiler warning, of course, because we're talking about the end of the new Canto and everything about it. Um, I want to start off by saying I absolutely loved the story of this Kanto. It was very solid, very pulling at the heartstrings. I thought the story was exceptional. And it brings the Kanto up there in my top favorite Kanto story wise. And what can I say? I thought it was just phenomenal story wise. Now, the thing I didn't like about this Kanto was the majority of the fights. Let me start off by saying I was already thinking about quitting streaming Limbus Company after the last Kanto because I just wasn't happy. I thought the story was very middling and the fights were absolutely not good in that Kanto. It had a lot of issues where mid boss fight you would have visual novel going to the story moments. It had the big story dungeon. I already have a whole video on that on why I don't like how dungeons play out. And it had some of the in my opinion worst boss designs and fight designs you could have. It's not necessarily that the fights were hard, it's that they felt unnecessarily complex. But again, if you want to know more details on Kanto 8, I already have a whole video. We're here to talk about Kanto 9. I feel like Kanto 9 had a lot of fights that I really did enjoy. They were really good, not overly complex. They were simple, but some were hard. I thought those fights were good, but they had some fights that just made me just want to stop playing Limbus for the day. They were just so atrocious. And if I were to bring up examples, I'm here on part one. Two out of the three of these fights were just atrocious. They felt bad. It's not that they were too hard of fights. It's that just mechanically they felt awful. First one is the charm fight here, the Fey Lantern. The reason why this one feels so bad is it is the previous lantern but cranked up to 11. Like during its down phase, you lose control of, I think it's 3 or 4 centers. So randomly losing control of half your team while it's in a phase where the longer it's down, it's healing. It doesn't feel good. Again, it's not necessarily a hard fight. It's just it mechanically feels like shit. It feels like it's just taking up a lot of your time, and it just didn't feel good to play. And then getting to the next one, the rework of the Ebony Apple, I hate this boss rework. So, first things first, the thing that irritated me the most was that even now I still don't know this skill. There were so many skills that were just hidden from the start, and it would have been nice. It would have changed how I handled the encounter if I would have known the skills. Like, you really need to take out the roots first because these are just brutal. These two effects that it does here are just really awful. Um, and you don't have any way of knowing you should take this out unless you've already seen it do these effects, and by then it's already too late. The next thing about this boss is that it has unbreakable coins that apply status effects. I feel like that's such a big no because it gives this. I don't know how to describe it other than it feels like shit because Limbus has so many win more mechanics, and Rupture is one of those win more. So basically, something hitting you that applies status effects like this will keep causing it to hit harder, win more. It'll keep accelerating its game plan. So when it does Unbreakable that does that, it feels really bad. And then on top of this, like it says Clash lose, skill does not activate Rupture on target. This is like this honestly feels like a nothing because it's just gonna like do a AoE that not this. One of the other pieces has a AoE. Is it one of these stems? This where it does trigger Rupture anyways. So this will, even though the previous skill doesn't trigger the Rupture, the next skill it does will. So it feels like, oh well, I won the clash, but this punishment still comes anyways. So it feels really bad. And so if you let this go off, it feels bad. So you need to focus the roots. But when you go back, you replay it, you focus the roots, it feels just as bad because oftentimes you have to let something else hit you and still apply relatively like the same effect like this. So it's like it feels damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the difference is if you play it right, if you play it wrong, your whole team is damned. If you play it right, one sinner may be damned. Like, but either way, the mechanics don't feel good. They felt really bad. And you just don't want to come back to this. Like, it feels so shit. It really made me on stream question if they play these bosses. Like, or if they play test this. Because from play testing, I think it would have been clear that this mechanically doesn't feel good. And there was another issue I had on stream where you can't see it right now, but when it's showing like the whole boss model here, and you're trying to look into the abilities, I had an issue where it was either the roots or some part of it was hiding under the buff, and I physically couldn't click that part to see stuff about it. Like, I know you could see it in the overview if you picked it apart, but I would like to know, like, oh, what was the stagger bar on that part? But I physically couldn't see it because every time I would click it, it would, like, it wouldn't let me click it because the part was underneath the overall body status effects. So, again, the UI is fighting itself. And then on top of that, it has so many, like, it feels so disjointed as a fight. But anyways, I don't really have an issue with any of the part 2 fights. They were pretty straightforward. I know I saw some people complaining about the moth and about the centipede. I don't like the centipede fight because it feels like it's just wasting your time. But again, I didn't think those were too bad or too overly difficult, like are too complex. I thought they were just fine. It's just, again, the centipede is a little bit wasteful on the time. The moth is still classic moth where you want to break its wings. Then we get to the part 3 fights. Part 3, I had such mixed feelings with these fights. Like, it was peak story with unpeak boss design on a lot of them. And it was just so conflicting because you get like, it doesn't show here, but when you're in the actual missions, you get additional dudes. So you have to read your teammates' kits. You have to read the boss's kit, and then you have to read their apprentice's kit, and you have to like try to figure out how they interact. And it feels like the meme of like Charlie on the like conspiracy board linking the pieces. Like, it's so disjointed. And it already brings up issues that I've previously talked about where like you have these mountains of passives. Like, I get that you try to like mark these like, oh, alert, these are important. Well, this alert important lose value when almost everything's marked with it. Like, this is meaningless if all of this is marked. You might as well just get rid of the clutter of like these warning signs on the screen if everything's gonna be a warning. Like, again, we still have sanity related things on the passive tab. These things should never be on this tab. They just confuse stuff. They clutter stuff. Again, a boss has a mini dissertation paper. This is too much crap on this boss. But that's just the boss. Like, he has his apprentice. His apprentice is pretty simplified. I didn't have much issue with how the apprentice was laid out. But then you have your own teammates' kits, and you have to like try to piece those together. Now, the ring fight is not as bad. You could probably get by in the ring fight without knowing what your teammates do. But the middle is the absolute worst. Like, if you were to ask me what's the worst designed boss fight in the game, it would be this. Here, I'm gonna use a box right now so we can go into the game and just see. And I'll show you really fast what I'm talking about with this. Yeah, I have the music off for the video in this case. So, not only do you have... Look at this shit, man. Look, 4 abilities warned as like, oh, this is the biggest priority thing. You have all this passive. You have each of them having their own unique thing here and how it interacts. You have her kit, which is like similar to his, but then you have like the same issue, but only one's marked, so it's a bit nicer with that. Then you have his kit too, where you need to understand, like, sure, they have the green for the assist defense, but you need to understand like how sort of this stuff interacts. And the big thing is how assist defense works. It is so unintuitive how assist defense plays out, because he will always target oh, he's not doing it now. When you can watch the stream, he kept... Oh, there it is. He always targets one of the centers with like an unopposed attack, and the assist defense is supposed to go off and help protect you on this. Well, I guess maybe he's not doing it. No, he is doing it. It's on the counter skill. And you're supposed to ignore this, but it's so unintuitive, because when you see an ability like this targeting, and if you let this go off and it's not defended, he will take out 2 amples worth of your health bar. So if, like, let's say you played this out, you didn't properly read, and you block this, and you're like, okay, I can't do that, or you do something like this and he hits you, you're just so fucked. It hits your health bar and you're not sure what to do, because he can't clash with it because it's too strong. You can't defend against it. The actual answer is you're supposed to ignore it, but that's, again, very unintuitive. And if you're trying to figure out why this is happening, like, your instinct is going to be to look into what his kit's doing. It's not going to be to look into what your teammate's doing for the answer. It feels very disjointed and disconnected. And then she does like a big hit, and she does a hysteria like thing when it's under this, and again, it's so unintuitive how these interact, because there's so many pieces and just so much shit. This is by far, in my opinion, the worst designed Limbus fight in the game. It's not even close. So let me just give this up. And that gets to my next point, where you have some great fights, where I know a lot of people didn't like this next fight. I actually love this fight. I love it from a design standpoint, because again, it's relatively simple to understand what you need to do against this guy, especially after you see it. That's a big thing for me. If I can see what's causing shit to hit the fan, that's great. That is great to me. Once you have to deal with these green coins, you have to basically outplay him with the green coins. He can't let Virgilius like clash into the green coins with his unbreakable. So he's very straightforward in design, in my opinion. His kit is relatively simple, if you ask me. Like, or at least it's simple to grasp how it works. And I think this is a great example of a hard fight that's not necessarily too complex. Whereas you get the final fight where this feels unnecessarily complex. There is so much shit for a very easy boss, like conceptually, to deal with. Like if you're just trying to read everything that goes on, I feel like you're gonna like lose your mind, like trying to piece together the Da Vinci Code over here and trying to understand this boss's dissertation paper. I mean, look at all this. Look at all this. This is the definition of overly engineered garbage. Like, but for the actual like fight, it's super simple. He's gonna mark someone. Don't let him clash with that marked person. Let him clash with everyone else. And the fight is straightforward after that. He does. Now, I will say, he does do a skill that I think actually still doesn't show up on here. Or does it? Oh, it does, I think. Yeah. This red skill. He hits your entire team like a nuke. But again, the boss is relatively simple. Just don't let him clash with the marked target. That's that's what all this random BS. And also like you match some the skills. Like there's a part where you need to match like yeah, non-blunt weapons deal minus 15% damage. Like you need to play like match the typings. But overall, like it's pretty simple. Is it this one? It's one of these. One of these interacts like that. And but he's way over engineered and way overly like complicated. There's no reason it needs to be this complex. You can have hard without complexity. Like complexity like this is just frustrating. It's so frustrating. And then on top of all that, like they added these neat little bits of flavor text, which I have extreme mixed feelings on because again, you're cluttering up a already cluttered like UI and menu. Like I think a lot of this would be fixed if I could like click on unlock and like condensed all this. Like it was like a drop down where I could like anything I read, I could close it and it just doesn't show the rest of that. But because you have to scroll through, you gotta go through all it. It's just so fatiguing, man. So again, I end this Canto in such a weird like mindset, in such a weird space where I'm I'm still not sure if I'm gonna continue streaming Limbus because again, loved the story. I loved where it went. I loved everything about it. It had such good peak moments. But the fights keep being like this, where they're not hard, they're just way overly complicated, and the mechanics just aren't fun. Then I'm probably just gonna stop streaming it. So yeah, again, I can't give it a whole rating on the contest, so I'll give it 2 ratings. Stories, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10, close to 10 out of 10. Uh, Gameplay, I'm gonna say 4 out of 10, or maybe like 3 out of 10. So yeah, that's my opinion of the Canto. I will see. Make sure like the content, dislike what I said, leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I will see everyone later.